This week, we're helping a couple transform a simple bedroom into an inviting space for their 6 grandkids and the toys that come with them.
Calming colors for the grandkids would be a great thing. The grands all have a lot of energy.
Homeowners love a good, straightforward, practical approach to home improvement.
Not every home needs a total overhaul.
That's why we focus on small projects that'll make a big difference.
Oh my
Gosh, yes!
Chelsea always has some great ideas for homeowners.
And Dad's practical knowledge with his fun-loving attitude is why we've been around for so long.
The most realistic, most current home improvement information you're going to find anywhere. Pretty slick, huh?
Families that improve their homes together stay together.
This house is where Dave and Janet chose to downsize several years ago after their kids left home.
We've been in this house since 2010, and we love this house because of its proximity to one set of grandkids who were just down the street. We have another set of grandkids up in Huntsville who visit often.
We like the layout of the house. The neighborhood's great.
When we moved in here, our daughter was in college, our son was in grad school, and so we thought downsizing was a good thing to do. Shortly thereafter, Ann got married. 9 months later, Ed got married. About a year later, the first of the grandkids came, and within 8 years, we had 6 grandkids. And when my daughter's family comes to visit, you know, the 3 of them, that'd be fine in one room, but then their cousins want to come and spend the night also. And it's starting to get a little crowded.
We need some space for them.
And this is where the kids end up every time they come over. So we wanted to do something in this room.
Grandkid room.
So you want to do something to entice the kids over here?
All the time.
I
yes.
understand that completely.
As long
I
as
do
we
this.
can send them home.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, if they're talking about all their grandkids being in here, and they have 6 grandkids, how big are these kids?
This room's not that big. What kind of ideas you have? Looks like somebody's already done a little bit of customization here.
Well, this used to be my daughter's bedroom.
She was always a good artist, so she designed the flowers, painted them herself.
And the dresser was supposed to be between the 2 things, but then when we added the futon, that got shifted off. So it doesn't really make sense right now. After one grandkid, that was fine, but then when number 2 came, we had to add a futon, and number 3 is about ready to get into this room too.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
The house isn't that big. We don't have a whole lot of choices. We got to put them all in one room.
And of course, this is, as you can see, the playroom.
Oh
Of
yeah.
course.
With all the
Gotta have the
toys.
toys.
When the grandkids come over, it's like a hurricane went through there, and there's, you know, pieces of toys everywhere. So we still want them to have some room to play, rather than bring all of the toys out into the living room or the kitchen or the dining room.
Well, you got the right person for that. Someone that's got 4 kids knows how to,
We know where to hide the toys.
how to store things and everything else.
I mean, bunk beds is the most obvious answer.
Yeah, we thought about bunk
Sleeping
beds.
arrangements. Yeah.
We were looking at them, but weren't quite sure really how to go about things.
You know, it's easy to buy bunk beds, but building them in just gives it a better look, I think.
Yeah, and you get to customize it and get it specific to your space, specific to your mattresses, and you can add custom details.
Like storage.
That's right.
Well, sometimes to me, the standalone ones, I don't know, I've seen them before, they just seem kind of rickety sometimes, you know. And
I feel like bunk beds is something that every kid dreams of having.
Absolutely. I would have loved to have some bunk beds, but never got a one.
I've heard too many stories about you as a kid. I know why you didn't get any.
I'd be jumping off that top bed
Oh, yeah.
every day.
Bunk beds makes me think that we might need to eliminate the ceiling fan.
oh,
I can
yeah.
see some monkeys jumping
yeah.
off the top
They'll
bunk.
be hanging on that thing.
One of the grandkids thinks he's a ninja, and so, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
One way or another, it's coming down.
If we're taking away some of this stuff, we'll need to add some more storage back into it, I would imagine.
Yes. We have such a large age range at this point, from the Fisher-Price stuff all the way up to the Legos. We need a lot of different places to be able to store toys.
Always seems to work out well to have something under the bed, though.
Yeah, I would think so. If there's enough room,
Yeah.
what, 8-foot ceilings, do you have room for 2 beds and
We'll have to do some figuring
storage?
on that.
Yeah.
Let's see how big this place is.
Okay.
Let me get you to hold that against the wall.
2 sets of bunk beds. So 4 kids, so they're gonna be fighting over the 4 spots.
Yes,
And 2
well,
people have to sleep
yeah.
on the floor.
The little ones, I'm sure, will
They'll
be
be
the ones
okay.
on the
They'll
floor.
be okay.
Well,
They'll
that'll be a
okay.
seniority issue
Exactly.
right there. They might want to put a coat of paint on.
I'm seeing
Yeah.
some fun colors in here, but maybe not
Okay.
like primary colors.
calming colors for the grandkids would be a great thing. The grands all have a lot of energy. I mean, we don't want to make it childish because there's 8 years difference from the oldest to the youngest.
Exactly.
How about
Right.
whimsical?
Whimsical.
Can we do that?
That sounds like a good word.
Okay.
But before the whimsy can begin, we have to clear out the room.
There's always more stuff in rooms than you ever think there are going to be.
If there's any toys you don't like, now's the time for them to disappear.
I'm making a long, narrow cut in this sheet of plywood, but before I go any further, I want to address a potential problem. And you can see it's already started. As this cut gets longer, this narrow strip is going to have a tendency to sag even further than it is now, and that could cause the blade to bind in the cut, and the saw could kick back. So I definitely don't want that to happen. So I'm going to take care of that right now with some duct tape. I'm going to slip it in through the kerf, which is the cut right here, and stick it down to the top surface. And then underneath, pull off a big old strip. I'm gonna flip it over, just like that, and then stick it to the top surface. There. So now with the tape stuck on the top, along the bottom, and over the top, and I can finish my cut. There you go. A nice long rip cut done safely thanks to that piece of tape.
Simple Solutions is brought to you by Tight Bond, the pro's advantage.
After the break, granddads stick together. And there's dads all across America right now are so proud of me. We're converting a bedroom in Janet and Dave's house into a bunk room for their grandkids. So now that it's empty, it's ready to paint.
You're going to have to put probably 2 coats on this wall, 2 coats on that wall because it's so purple.
Mm-hmm.
Now, have y'all done much painting?
I have.
She
I've done
has.
lots of it.
Oh.
She's the painter.
I've done all the painting. Dave worked at a nuclear plant and worked all crazy hours. And so I realized early on that if things were going to get done around the house, I had to do them. But what you're going to do is make a W and then fill it in.
Fill it in.
Okay.
And I can start anywhere you want me to, huh? She's really good at doing all that kind of stuff, so I let her. My job is to stay out of the way.
But use those parts. Just dip it in and pull it back. You don't want to get like
To there.
Make sure you get over here before those things dry. And so when you do your next W, even if it's like down here, put the W on and then start blending it into what you already have.
It's a little bit different to be setting the homeowners up for homework on day one.
Hopefully that means this project will go really smoothly.
Yeah, and it'll make it a lot easier than cutting in around the bunk beds
Oh,
we're gonna build.
without a doubt.
Look at this paint job, Chelsea. How
Oh,
about
this
that?
looks awesome. Did y'all get that purple covered in one coat?
2 coats for the purple.
Okay.
And 1 coat for the beige.
That's
Yes.
still impressive.
And it covered it really well, I think.
All right, well, we're ready to jump on the bunk beds. Got to cut some baseboard.
Yeah, I
now.
want to cut the baseboard, so I have that measured out. I measured the mattresses, so we're going to get a nice snug fit with the mattresses that they have.
Yeah.
We took one set out. And I thought, there's no way there can be 2 mattresses in this little box.
And it's like one of those inflatable rafts.
Yeah.
You know, it just, and you know, even when we were opening it, it's like, oh, there's only 1 mattress in here.
Yeah.
Oh, we're supposed to be 2. And lo and behold, there's 2
Unbelievable.
mattresses.
Once we lay out the location of each bed, we cut the baseboard with an oscillating saw so part of it can be removed.
And then what I'm doing is taking a complex tool called a vacuum cleaner and holding it right next to where he's cutting. And so any of the sawdust or whatever goes right into the vacuum cleaner. I would never have thought of that. I would have had sawdust everywhere. This is the first time I've ever removed baseboard. And all I do is just put the wedge tool in the baseboard, hit it with the hammer, and boom, it comes right off.
So this is what we'll attach to our studs.
Okay.
So get that lined up. Now you mentioned you used the circular saw before. Have you used a miter saw before?
Miter, yes, but I mean, we're talking 40 years.
That's a long time.
Mine didn't look anything like this, so talk me
Okay.
through this.
So we have a safety right here.
Okay.
So you kind of push that in with your finger, and then you pull the trigger. And then obviously keep your hands away from the blade.
And then I'm just going to pull it and then bring it forward, right?
Yeah, push it down and push it away.
And why is nothing happening?
You got the trigger. Are you pushing the safety in?
Yeah.
Pulling the trigger? Mm-hmm. We must not have power.
Okay. Well,
That was a lot of buildup. That was a lot of buildup.
Once we get the 4x4s in place, and then we put the 2x6s up, and then the 2x2s.
Okay, how about a 2x2?
And that'll support the slats, right?
Correct.
It's like, this looks like a bed frame. Apparently, he measured incorrectly.
So Chelsea drew that line?
yeah, let's say that.
So he wrote Chelsea's name with a question mark and an arrow to point to that line.
Dad, you know we're doing this project for a TV show, which means the camera's always watching you.
I know, and there's dads all across America right now are so proud of me. Okay, so I know you want some kind of little built-in shelf.
Yes. Well, I was thinking that the bottom of this little niche would be here, and then the top would be here. So you can get like a water bottle in there, so.
Once we framed the edges of the openings with 2x4s, we began installing 1x6 prime trim boards to cover the entire exterior of the bed frame and panel the headboard around the niche. So by the end of the day, one bed is ready to paint overnight.
Having a leveling laser in your toolkit is not as extravagant as it sounds, because you know what, Dan, you're going to use that laser more than you realize, whether you're hanging kitchen cabinets, molding, or even wallpaper that's making a comeback.
You're right. Now, DeWalt has a self-leveling laser. It does a wonderful job. It does self-level.
I love that.
And a few mounting options.
Yeah.
One,
It's got a magnet on the back so you can attach it to metal studs. You can also put a nail in the drywall or even mount it onto a tripod. Now, whether you need a vertical or a horizontal, the buttons are here. You turn those on and look. So you don't have to use a chalk line or a pencil, and you're going to get professional results every time.
This Best New Product segment is brought to you by the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Coming up,
It's a fun little tool to use, and it works so well. I wish they would have had things like this 40 years ago.
we're converting Dave and Janet's guest room into a bunk room for the grandkids. And overnight, they got the first bed painted.
We're painting the bunk beds and opened up the can and saw that green. And as we were putting it on and it was starting to dry, it was drying a little bit darker. And
It reminded me of the blue sky and green grass, and it had an outdoor feel.
Seeing the sage green on the bed this morning really makes the wall color make a lot more sense.
So while Dave and I work on finishing the second bed, Chelsea and Janet start measuring for our storage solution.
Not only do we need a place for these kids to sleep, but we need a place to store the toys that were already in this room. So I'm basically building a giant drawer to utilize the space under the bottom bunk bed, and it's built just like a trundle bed. Yeah, this will be the base for the giant drawer.
when I see what kind of space we actually do have, I realize we can fit a whole lot of stuff in these.
Hey, that just seemed like it was throwing sawdust. Too much, just too much sawdust. Yeah. Well, that's one way to get more fiber in my diet. I don't think that was my snack from earlier. It's definitely a piece of sawdust. So I'll close my trap. We're using a pocket hole jig for the joints of our trundle drawer because we need them to be very secure, but I don't want to see any fasteners.
How does that work?
So it'll drill holes at an angle, and then we'll use a really long bit to screw the screws in. This helps create a stronger joint.
It's a fun little tool to use, and it works so well. I wish they would have had things like this 40 years ago.
It's nice too because these will be underneath, so we don't have any fasteners that we have to like putty and paint over.
Oh, nice.
They're hidden fasteners. The only downside is that it's pretty tedious to drill all those holes, but when it comes time to driving the screws, it goes a lot faster. All right, so we want it to have an overhang on the bottom.
Okay.
3/4 of an inch. So we have our 1x material. So we'll just flush it with the top of this,
Okay.
and then we'll drill our pocket holes. All right, you feel good about it?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Oh, that's neat.
You like that?
That is really cool.
Cinched it right up.
Working on the second bed after we had finished the first bed, a lot easier. We could see what we did the first day and basically just duplicate it, so we knew exactly where the boards were supposed to go, where the trim was supposed to go.
Okay, I really want the wheels to be in line with each other so we
Okay.
don't have anything
Yeah.
going askew. So we'll use these 1x6 scraps.
Okay.
And we'll butt it up against that.
Okay.
And then I measured 7 inches off. So not that it matters that it looks pretty, but it'll all be symmetrical. And we have the wheels that only go in one direction, so
Yes.
it's not gonna wiggle all over the room if you're trying to skate down the hallway.
Don't give them any ideas, please don't.
Well, at this point, leaving that ceiling fan, that's not an option.
Well, I wanted it to go anyway because it's not centered.
We'll get rid of the ceiling fan before somebody flips the switch on it.
Take out our bed, take out your head.
I'd hate to start all of this all over again because of that. The fact that the ceiling fan and light fixture was not centered, we had no idea. But you put the 2 bunk beds there, and that light fixture is off center, big time.
But the idea of taking it down and then moving the box over and putting that medallion up to cover the old hole, that was just, I thought that was the neatest thing. And it looks like it was designed that way.
We're constructing the rails and ladders for the top bunks out of 2x2s, and we're just going to seal the raw wood because I'm a sucker for adding wood tones to a space.
I think it's going to look so good against the sage green, just those warm wood tones, and I think it's just all looking like outdoors. So we have the trees, we have the sky, we have the green. It's going to be so pretty.
I'm adding a wall-mounted lamp above each bunk bed. That way each kid has their own little reading nook when they get into bed at night.
I think they're gonna love it. They're gonna come in and just go, whoa, this is so cool. And I mean, I'm sure it'll take them about a millisecond to climb up the ladders and get in the beds and everything. I think they're just gonna have a blast.
Like many extra bedrooms, Janet and Dave's have become a drop zone for things that didn't really fit anywhere else in the house. It was mildly functional for the grandkids, but the double bed and futon only provided enough space for 3 of the kids to sleep. And the only thing to identify it as a kid's room was a stack of toys. But now, the intent of this room is obvious. The cool, fun colors and decor make it clear that this space is for kids. The 2 sets of bunk beds offer plenty of sleeping arrangements for a crowd, and the storage niche and reading light in each bunk gives each kid some control of their little corner. Plus, the toy storage trundles tuck neatly out of the way, leaving plenty of floor space for the kids to play. And we did it all for about $1,600 in materials.
The little touches that Chelsea came up with.
The lights, the pennants.
The niches in the wall.
Walls.
It really looks like a kid's bedroom.
This is going to be something that they can really grow into. I really believe that the kids will realize that this is a room that's intentionally for them.
What do you think?
Whoa! I'm sleeping up here.
This is really their room, not just a room that they sleep in, but this is theirs.
Dave's gonna be there. I'm gonna be here. John's probably gonna be there.
And I really hope that they feel very comfortable here and that they want to come visit Grandma and Grandpa as often as they can, and that they see this as their second home.
If you're not a grandparent, ask a grandparent and they'll tell you they'll do just about anything to get those grandkids to visit them more often. What we've done here is provided a fun place, a convenient place, and a very comfortable place for them to come and spend some good quality family time. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this week's show, and I certainly appreciate you being with me and Chelsea here on today's Homeowner. Come see us next week. Dave, I'm gonna have to put my foot on your back to stabilize myself.
I understand. Go ahead.
Okay?
Yeah. Mhm.
Their narrator, the project actually went quickly downhill from there.
Wow.
What do you think?
Cool. Bunk bed, light.
You want to...
Whoa.